All right, everyone, how are you doing? You know what time it is. If you see the two of us together, it must be a Friday and it must be 4 p.m. in Bremerton, Washington. Welcome, everyone, to the show. I hope you've had a good week leading into September. What was it, Labor Day on Monday? Is that the
Yeah.
holiday? So we work 365 days a year, so there's no such thing as a holiday for us. It is what it is. But we are here. We're back. Welcome to all the kiddies that have gone back to school. Hopefully, everyone has had a nice soft launch into the school year. It is a little bit chaotic. I know my daughter's not happy with her classes, so well, it is what it is. But let's ride. Kathie, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay for a smoky Friday.
A smoky Friday. Wow. I haven't been
Yeah.
outside yet. So why do you say is it
Oh,
smoky?
it's bad.
Ah, okay.
I mean, it wasn't this way this morning. And then I noticed I had to take my daughter over by the old hospital for a doctor's appointment. And you come up over on the top of Sheridan Road
Mm-hmm.
and you look out to the mountains. And you can't even see them. It's so much smoke out there.
Is this the wildfires?
Yeah, I think it's from the one out. Is it the Bear Gulch one by Lake Cushman?
Gotcha. Okay.
And I had to look it up because I wasn't sure where it was at. Because there's a big Chelan one too that just took off. That they're doing getting people out of there because it's pretty bad. But I didn't realize that this Gulch fire is directly west of Bremerton.
Oh, really?
Yeah, around Lake Cushman.
Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah, it's pretty bad.
I'm nodding my head like I know where Lake Cushman is.
Yeah, well, I had heard about Lake Cushman, but I didn't know where it was. But I do now because I looked on the map. So it is directly west of us on the other side of Hood Canal.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's just a little bit, and it's in the Olympic National Forest. It's not far from the shoreline, though.
Really?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's closer than I thought.
See, all these things you learn.
Yeah.
So important, right? I am geographically challenged, so that is kind of the ongoing joke with me. You have a transportation company, you don't know where anything is? Like, yep, nope, I don't. Unfortunately, it is what it is. Don't judge me.
That's why I work in maps. Being a map maker, I don't do GPS. Show me on a map. I need to know where. Too many times GPS is not right.
Absolutely. Well, like we always do, we like to start off with the Save Enetai website, saveenetai.org. Please go there. As always, Kathie updates it all the time. And
well, I don't know about that. For the podcast, I do.
Well, that means it's updated every week for sure.
That's right. It does make me go there and do it.
Super diligent. You can stay up to date. You can subscribe right here. I'm going to go ahead and close that so you can see everything. And everything that we talk about today, you will find here so you can keep track, which is fantastic. And anything that's new is there as well. And again, always, I can never say it too much. Please take advantage. If you are having situations and issues in your own neighborhood, you can take this information and duplicate it to your efforts, right? So you don't have to recreate the wheel. The wheel has been created. Just make the spokes say what you need them to say and advocate for what you're fighting for.
Yeah, and so you'll see the new one, or it says podcast September 5th up at the top. I've been kind of just posting things at the very beginning of the page up above where you're at.
Oh, I need to go a little higher.
Yeah, scroll up. And right below the you'll see like the dates, and it'll say podcasts. See, there you go.
Oh, gotcha.
There you go.
I see 8:15 here, and then primer on the
and
document.
then right up above it is see where it says podcast September 5th.
The major majority of shoreline closed due to biotoxins and pollution. Podcast September 5th.
That's the link. This is kind of new stuff that I found out this week because I know we've been talking about water, and as you can see, well, in my podcast notes, I said number one, we could talk about those tax breaks for developers, but I'm thinking if we can save that to the end.
Okay.
Because you just keep me on track, because I know once we get into the affordable housing thing, we can talk for hours on that
Yeah,
issue,
you're
so-
right. Because when I saw your outline, it's like, oh, you want to go ahead, and you chose violence this morning, so I'm ready to go. So I'm glad you got me bridled. I'm gonna relax and I could just woosah, because I was gonna do my own podcast on that. So from Wednesday City Council meeting.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. So I thought this is like hot stuff that I just found out this week. It's almost like, what's the issue of the week around Kitsap County? And I'll tell you, our county is effed up.
Got a lot of issues for sure.
There is a lot of issues, and we're in trouble in this county. So anyway, so we can start with the current map, which if anybody has opened up the notes that I made and clicked on the link, this is a Department of Health website that shows all the pollution. It's really a shellfish harvest map, is what I think it's designed for. But if you open it up and you click on that, you already clicked off the little box, but you click that off, and then you zoom into like the Bremerton area, and so you can see all the various all the brown. Or you might want to click on that.
Yeah, let me click on the legend
upper
here.
Left, show the legend.
Yep.
First.
So we've got the map here in the upper left-hand corner.
Yeah.
And then we have the legend. And here we have the legend. The green is approved. The gray, I guess, is unclassified. And the brown is the closed due to pollution.
Yes. And then all those hatch marks that's all around, like Illahee and Enetai over on the right. That's all closed to biotoxins.
Gotcha. So what looks like a tic-tac-toe grid with red and white. And that says closed for all species, including clams, gooey duck, scallops, mussels, oysters, snails, and other invertebrates, not crab or shrimp. So that's almost everything, right?
Yeah, it is. And it's kind of scary. And there's a lot of reasons for this. And I think that if you go back to the map, you'll see the brown areas, like go on, like on down to Manette, and then Enetai and Illahee on that side of the water. And you'll see we're at Illahee State Park. Those red lines, that means that beach is closed.
Gotcha. And so this is Illahee State Park over here.
Yes.
Where my mouse is.
And then off to the left, you'll see Lions Park and then Smith Cove. All these places are closed.
Wow.
Because of how bad it is. And something of interest is that Enetai, if you zoom into Enetai, which is about where your mouse is.
Zooming in there. Whoops.
And okay, so it's south of there. That's Illahee State Park.
No much. Hold on. It's a little touchy.
Yes. You know, these maps.
How's that?
So south of that spot, well, like that one big brown blob that you have on your screen right now. Now, so if you go a little bit south of that.
There's Enetai.
Oops. Yes. So that brown area right there, that is at the mouth of Enetai Creek. I'm just trying to bring it local so you can understand from a local perspective.
Absolutely.
So, why would you think the mouth of Enetai Creek is polluted? I discovered something, and when you go up and down Trenton, I met a homeowner that lives like on the edge of Enetai Creek above it. And the city of Bremerton is, and part of the county too, they're all kind of in part of this. All the stormwater, like at the top of Nipsic and all up in there and all along Trenton from like 30th down to Manette to the park, all that stormwater is being pushed over down the streets, over the hill into Enetai Creek. Like right here, it shows you where you have to really zoom in a lot, too much to be able to see the creek itself. But all the water, like you can see the high school there or the middle school, that's Trenton that goes north-south. So all that water that gets pushed over, it's all being just pushed over the top of the hill into Enetai Creek. It's not being filtered at all. There's no special piping, no infrastructure, nothing. So when we get big heavy rains, it surges and it's making like the whole ravine of the creek just slough off. It's just constantly eroding, landsliding all the time. So, and they found this new, fairly new, they figured out that there's a chemical in the tires of cars that is killing fish. So it isn't just that's killing the fish, but obviously something's going down into Enetai Creek that is creating this pollution. And so what is it? That's my question for the city of Bremerton and the county, is because they don't have any filtration on the stormwater that's going into the waters around us, at least at least on this side of Manette.
Gotcha. So what you're saying effectively, if I can summarize, is we get these rains and, you know, here we are, we've got Trenton Avenue and we've got Cascade Trail. These are some of the main streets that people know about. And all of this rainwater is just going down the storm drains and flowing in to Enetai, and it's not being filtered out for any of the toxins or things that it's picking up along its way, correct?
No. Mm-mm.
And this is what is closing everything down, which makes it to where, hey, marine biotoxin closures for all these species. Am I correct in that?
Well, I'm not sure if it's all because of that.
What else could it be?
That's something, this is pretty new stuff that I just found out. I did not realize how polluted our waters were.
Gotcha, okay.
I recently found out about that stormwater because of somebody that lived farther north that lives on the top of Enetai Creek. That they talked with the city about, you know, them putting in piping and stuff, but they don't. Just like with sewer, they don't have the money to pay for sewer infrastructure. They don't have money to pay for stormwater infrastructure. So, and this is our health of our waters here. So that's just Enetai in a little kind of microcosm. So if you zoom out though, and you look at all this pollution and where is it all coming from? And I think that, one thing that was brought up to me this week is and a lot of people, unless they've gone out Keyport Road, don't know that there's the county's central Kitsap sewage treatment plant. And you can kind of smell it sometimes when you go along there. And so there's some new things going on, and you'll see as you go to the north.
And before you share that, let me just go back to the legend again, right? This is the brown, everyone, is closed due to pollution. All right. Now I'm going to go back to the map.
Good. Yes. Good. Do a big.
And when you look, we are surrounded by brown, right? So we were just looking at Enetai up here. And then as you come down and you cross over, or you haven't even crossed over the Manette yet. You just come down Trenton into Manette. And here we go. Look at all of this brown, right?
Yeah.
Look at all this brown. It comes all the way around. We're at Evergreen Rotary Park, right? These are our friends at Smith Cove. We've got the lower Rotary at Vista Park, Landing Park, Lions Field. Now I'm just going to zoom out here.
Yeah, zoom
and
out.
Look at all of this brown. We are surrounded by it. All of our waterways in Bremerton right here, outside of Kitsap Lake, looks isolated, so it's okay. But everything else.
It has algae.
Or
did. An algae bloom. But yeah, look at all along Lions Park there.
Wow.
I mean, do you really want to go take your kids down there and go in that water, or go kayaking, or take your dogs down there?
Wow.
I mean, and you zoom out, and then all that hatched lines, that's all biotoxins. I mean, I know this is why I want to talk about this week, because this kind of scares the bejesus out of me to see all this. And you wonder, how can the orcas survive in this? or what is it, 60% of their calves die.
Mm-hmm.
And you see them out there swimming. They swim in this. And I think that it's kind of like, can you envision in 25, 50, 75 years, I have this elderly friend of mine that says, are your grandkids or great grandkids going to know what a fish is? I mean, and then look at all the brown over in Seattle. It's pretty scary. So if you want to like zoom in up over like north of Brownsville,
Mm-hmm.
that's probably a good place to take a look about the sewage treatment plant, because what's going on there is like another thing. We talk about the lack of infrastructure and all this development, and the sewage treatment plant is, they basically built it in a wetlands.
They built it into wetlands?
Yeah, it's all wetlands around that sewage treatment plant, and apparently.
Oh wow! Yeah, we didn't go up here.
Yeah, so when you get up there, you'll see. So it'd be north of Brownsville.
Yep, we're up.
Yeah, so there you go. You see that big brown blob?
Yeah.
Well, that's where to the left of the big brown blob is where that's where the sewage treatment plant is. And what they do is they treat it, and then it goes out a pipe like 40 to 60 feet into the water, and it gets discharged. So what is that brown telling you? Is what kind of shape is that sewage treatment being done? Well, apparently they're like we've talked about, at least in DCD with the county, they've had a 94% turnover of staff in the past 3 years. There's all kinds of open positions apparently out at the sewage treatment plant. And I don't know, I heard something about an operational manager that they don't even have that. Now, I don't know, I haven't checked that one out yet, but so who's like running the show there? Apparently, and I've given you links in my notes that can show you how to go look at discharge monitoring reports, which are required by sewage treatment plants to be filed quarterly. Well, the ones out of this sewage treatment plant have not been done for 4 quarters.
For 4 quarters?
4 quarters.
Okay.
Yes. And and those quarterly reports detail the quantity and the quality of the pollutants being discharged. That's so they can have a permit under the Clean Water Act. So in what's happening here is, we have all this growth going on. Poulsbo apparently is having problems with their sewage treatment plant. So now they're sending all theirs down to this sewage treatment plant. And then Bangor is also sending theirs over there. And so, and this is like this new law that just got passed. They don't have to have the tool in place till June of next year. So this is just a link to tell you about the new law, and that it was pushed through so people in live time can go and click and find out if the water's safe for them to go in the water.
Yeah, you don't want your kids to get in the water. You don't want your pets to get in the water. You don't want to get in the water.
Well, exactly.
Oh.
And so this was kind of a pretty cool. I'm glad that this Washington Conservation Action is the one that helped push this through. So I think that, here we have the huge portions of, well, think about Bangor. I don't know if you've heard this, but I know, because I've read some stuff occasionally, is that Bangor was out drilling wells and testing for water all around the base. Like,
oh no,
yeah, they were like north of the base. A lot of those people that have wells and stuff around Bangor, they were testing their wells for pollutants. And Bangor is a nuclear facility, and so if they're sending their sewage over to the Central Kitsap sewage treatment plant, what's in that sewage? I mean, you gotta wonder. So you have Poulsbo sending their poop down there. You got Bangor. Then then Keyport, a lot of people maybe don't know about this. It's only because I never envisioned working on Superfund site maps where I did detailed subsurface mapping showing plumes of pollution, how it goes a certain direction and how they monitor it.
Mm-hmm.
That scared me when I saw that. But so when I heard that Keyport was a Superfund site, so we are surrounded by some pretty nasty stuff. And then you have a sewage treatment plant that is probably old and archaic and needs billions of dollars to bring it up to the capacity to even meet what they're doing right now. It's obviously not functioning very well if you're seeing all that pollutant out there. And so here we are, we're doing all this development and we're pushing all this poop in that direction, and the infrastructure can't handle it. I think that's really kind of what is going on. And it's kind of scary about what is Kitsap County doing about this?
That's an excellent question. We definitely going to have to ask the commissioners what the plan is, and then also ask our city council folks what they're doing as well.
Well, yeah. And I think that we may have touched on this at one point. Is my understanding, there's different ways to govern a county. And I think that once you start to reach a 300,000 population, that you're required to go to at least 5 commissioners, or you can go to a county council. And so we're like at 288, I think, something like that. And apparently the county administration building was built to handle it for 5 commissioners to run this county. And honestly, I think that it's too much to run this county with all this stuff that's going on. Is too much for 3 commissioners to handle. That they need at least 5 commissioners, and they need an elected administrator, because our 3 commissioners are doing both jobs right now. They're administrating and they're doing all the other work. And obviously we're in trouble. This county's in trouble with all the, our water, our sewer infrastructure, our road infrastructure. There's been, I've read about some of the sewage, where there's a lot of sewage discharge that we don't hear about. And I mean, for instance, at the shipyard, I know there was a big sewer spill out there. And it was because when they installed something, that the worker installed the intake and outtake pipe at the wrong place. So it was what was supposed to be sucked in got pushed out. So and they were drilling at Keyport, trying to when you're going out to Keyport and that retention pond that's there or whatever, it goes up and down with the tide, that they were drilling there and they hit a sewer line and it caused that happened 6 months ago. It's only if you read the paper and you hear about these things that this is all going on. And it's I gotta wonder about the competency level of, I think it's just too much it's just not being managed.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the thing, is the supervision of an oversight of all this, that it's just, there's no accountability, there's no monitoring, there's no enforcement, or we don't have the sheriff's department just posted recently how you're not going to be able to call them to handle certain kind of issues.
Really?
Yes. It was posted on their Facebook. It's too bad I didn't get that on.
I could try to look it up.
It was on their Facebook, because their staffing has been cut back. So they're hiring people in DCD to be able to expedite permits for developers, but then they're cutting back staffing on the sheriffs and all these other places, and in their roads, because apparently we have a $8 million shortfall in our county right now.
Whew.
So we've got crime and law enforcement that people, they're overworking the people that are still here to the point to where they're leaving. So now they're just short people. So they don't, I think I might have mentioned a couple of weeks ago, what they had one state trooper to cover all the way down to Gig Harbor
Right.
from
I think you were
Hansville.
talking about that.
I mean, and I don't know if you heard about this earlier this week, that there was a bomb that went off or some kind of fire ignition at Safeway up on Wheaton Way.
No, I did not.
Yeah, I think it was on Monday or Tuesday. And so they had to put like the schools on lockdown because they ran towards off of Fairgrounds going in that direction, apparently. So it caused a major problem at the orientations at the schools.
Oh, Kitsap County Sheriff. Okay. All right, let me just get there really quick.
Yeah, so I think that we're looking at crime and law enforcement, our safety and condition of our roads. We have WashDOT and the county that are on separate. The county approves for developments, but then they don't talk to WashDOT and work out how are we going to make our roads safe and how can we actually have the infrastructure to take care of these new developments. We don't have the infrastructure. We don't have the sewage capacity. Here we go.
Let's see if everyone can hear that. Let me know. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. I had not seen this. This is tremendously concerning. There are definitely calls that come in for,
minor things.
I had an issue with my pizza. You get stupid calls.
Yeah.
But they're saying calls to 911 that would be redirected include fraud, harassing phone calls, identity theft, lost property, non-reportable motor vehicle collisions, no injury, and less than 1,000 in damage, which how do you know if it was less than 1,000? Theft from vehicles, vehicle prowl, or vandalism, malicious mischief. We encourage you to report these types of crimes, capturing crime data, so now you are detectives, and trends is essential. Reports will be reviewed, and where appropriate, a follow-up response will occur. You can follow online here. I will put this in the chat for folks. Yeah, this is tremendously.
Yeah, this is just another thing in this county.
Wow.
That because we're having an $8 million shortfall, everything's getting cut everywhere, and it's like, well, how can you keep building and doing all this if you can't? I can't remember if I told you that my primary care doctor told me that there are 90 primary care physicians shortage in this county, that there's one primary care physician for every 2,000 people.
Wait, say that one more time.
There's one primary care physician to take care of 2,000 people.
Wow. So
we don't have enough doctors. We don't have enough law enforcement. Our infrastructure's falling apart in all areas. It's not being monitored. You got your sewage that hasn't been monitored for a year. So it's there's a lot of big concerns going on in this county. So I think that these items, they need to be addressed. And so that was kind of the most shocking thing for me, was to see the water and how polluted it is. I mean, I was pretty shocked by this.
It just seems like our city, our county is literally falling apart around us.
Yes.
And we don't see it, right? We're not really seeing it.
And their PR people sure as heck aren't going to tell you. They're going to whitewash it all, like everything's just peachy clean. And you look at their job announcements, and we got all these awards for the best place to work, and it's like, oh my God.
I just want to read one comment here from Dawn Michelle. Shout out to Dawn. She says, maybe take the sheriff out of the Walmart in East Bremerton, who is literally standing inside the front door all day. As a frequenter of the Bremerton Walmart, yeah, that might be a good idea. There's definitely a lot of emphasis on protecting the property interests of big business. So, yep, I concur with that one.
I know. I saw a bunch somewhere, too. I can't think of where it was. Now I'm going to have to think about that. But so that's kind of my thing on that is just trying to educate people about what's going on around them. And I know we're all busy trying to survive, which we can talk about the Bremerton City Council this week.
Yeah, we'll jump to that. But
yeah,
I think that point
ready.
Again is when I look at what you've done with Save Enetai and Friends of Smith Cove, why it's so important is it takes multiple people, right? You can't look at what's going on with our hospitals, what's happening with our homeless population, what's happening with food insecurity, unaffordable housing, tax breaks for property development. There's too many things, right? Many of us are in survival mode. And so it really takes a team of folks to come together and say, hey, I'm going to focus on the water. And you can even break that down into subsections, which we've done over the last 3 weeks, right? I mean, there's you don't have water, you don't live, folks. And it's not like we can just keep building new water. There's only one earth. So we really have to take care of what we have and be cognizant of what is happening and how these other things impact. So when you have developers that are putting a 200 units down on the water, which is great profit for them, and some folks will have some great views, what is the long-term damage to our ecosystem here in the county and here in the city? And so are those 200 homes there worth it, or should they be put in a better place?
Well, yeah, and I can only just say, because I know this, because I talk to them all the time, is the people that live around Royal Valley right now, is the dust and what's going into the Steel Creek and going out of Brownsville, and the wetlands that they just destroyed that are key to our ecosystems and our fish. There was a lot of fish in the Steel Creek and all up in there. The county they're not inspecting it. They're calling the county, they're calling EPA all the time because of all the dust, all the discharge that's going on. There is no accountability or very little inspection or oversight of what that developer's doing there. It's just not happening. And if you look at behind Wilco and East Bremerton, they have a big retention pond back there. If you look at it and you see what's growing in there, it's I know the person who's been watching that for a very long time and has reported it multiple times. And it's the same company, Rush Development, is who's building Royal Valley.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, this can kind of show you. And they've destroyed the wetlands that used to be in there too. If you go behind like the tile and decor and you see what they've done to this like little wetlands that's like this big back there, they're destroying the environment. I mean, it's okay to have growth. Growth can be okay. It can be a good thing, but done the right way. So I think that's the what's happening is our natural resources are being destroyed because of improper planning and not enough oversight of the rules and the laws and everything that have been put in place to protect the environment. They're just walking all over it, basically.
You know what's interesting in Silverdale at actually at Amanda's mother's apartment complex, on the front side of it, and I never would have noticed this or paid any attention until our conversations. There's a sign and a fence that says, "Do not go into this part here because this is protected wetland," and it might be like 6 feet long, and it's on on an incline,
Right?
And it's like, wow, so you just built around the wetland, or did you build into the wetland, but you needed just to preserve that much to make it legal or acceptable?
They call that mitigation.
Wow. So it was just really interesting to see that.
Well, and out in where the Minder Farms was, where the corn maze was and all that, that was all really all like marsh and wetlands and stuff in there. And you can see what they've done to it.
Well, and how was that little bit mitigating? I don't know, that's a huge complex. That looks like it could be,
it's massive.
100 plus units in Silverdale. And you're talking about a 6 foot length that goes the entire property down, I believe. That doesn't look like that's mitigating.
No, there's 800 houses and units are going in there. And on the Minder Farms alone, I think it's about 300 apartment buildings. And so that wetlands that's in Crouch Creek is back behind there. So that wetlands, I have a picture, I should have put it in my thing here, where it's about the size of 2 cars. What they've done is they have took out all the soil and compacted it and done whatever they have to do to build. And they left in the middle of it like 2 cars of what would look like wetlands. So how is that preserving wetlands when you destroy all the wetlands around it and you save this little, like you said, a 6 foot wide thing? And it's kind of a joke. I mean, I talked to an engineer who I showed him that picture, and he says, "Oh, that's the developer saying a F you to the county." I don't know if that's true or not, but from his professional engineering job, he said, "Yeah, it's a joke." And the county's letting them get away with it. It's like we're all scratching our heads, going, "What is going on? Who is like?"
Well, they'll gaslight you and say, well, we need more housing, right?
Yes.
You guys say you want more housing, and we're giving you more housing and you're complaining. It's like, yes, we need more housing, but we don't need more of that housing. One, it needs to be affordable, but two, it can't destroy the ecosystem at the same time.
Right. And so, and I don't know if this is the right segue for what happened, what this ordinance at City Council that I think they passed it.
Yeah, yes, they did.
To give the tax breaks. For 8 years.
Yep.
And so you listened to it then, right?
Yes, I did.
So the part about how so this 8 years that they're going to give for free taxes for developers to create multifamily housing, there's nothing attached to affordable housing. That 20%, I don't know how they can do this because according to, I think the GMA, they have to allow 20% to be affordable. But what was news to me is what the HUD figures and how HUD came up with the figures to what is affordable.
Right.
And that's the scary part, is that and tell me if I was kind of tired. I was traveling all day when I finally I got off the ferry and went right to that city council meeting. Is it the whole county that they average together, or all I know
is
it's
the whole county, and that's one of the reasons why it's so high, because it's including like Bainbridge Island, right?
Which is like totally,
and that's what's killing us. Yeah, well, that's part of what's hurting.
Right. So I think in the one person that came up and said, well, you can change that you can change your what's affordable figures by what is it, a legislative action or something. So you can fix that. So here you are, you're giving these developers free reign, free taxes for 8 years. Our infrastructure can't handle what they're building. We can't handle all your poop. We don't have enough water. But boy, we'll give you 8 years of free taxes, and then you get to grab the money and leave the county, and then all your buildings fall apart 5 years later or 10 years later. That's kind of how I see it. But
the few things that I'll say on it, like I said, I was going to do my own podcast on it, but I'll leave it here. One of the Denise Frey, which is one of the councilwomen, really felt attacked and feels attacked week after week of, shout out to Jose, Friends of Smith Cove, coming and speaking their mind, and Robin and others, and just saying, look, this is what's going on. This is a problem. You're not addressing these issues. If you are not literally in the pocket of these developers, the end result is still the same. If you are voting in their interest and not in the interest of the people. And one of her comments was about civility, right? It's like, I can handle whatever, but we need to be civil. And just kind of pulling, that definition up here, lacking the little civilities here. Let's see. Greetings. His leadership is rooted in commitment to service and inconsistency on civility and passion for promoting public interest. So what is civility? Courtesy, being courteous, being polite. What are those things? And then I think about that, and it's like, okay, so for 3 minutes at a time, they might get to come up and talk twice, right? So they get 6 to 9 minutes of a few people coming up and being angry about whatever the issues are. And then that's it. They don't have to respond. They don't have to do anything. Right?
They don't have to answer any questions.
Yep. They don't have to acknowledge it at all. Right. And then it's done. And then I compare that to our unhoused, and I say, well, City Council, are you being civil to our unhoused population? Are you being civil to the residents of Bremerton when they can't afford their housing and you're giving tax breaks to the developers? That doesn't seem civil to me. When you are criminalizing folks being homeless because they can't afford housing, and not looking at all of the factors that it takes, right? Having first, last, and deposit, having a good credit rating, having a job for a certain amount of time, right? Being in line for any of the housing programs that exist, and how difficult it is, one, to gain housing, but then two, to sustain it, which is why people are becoming homeless every day, right? They're going from their homes to staying with friends, to staying into their car, then to being on the street. And this is what's happening, and our homelessness is growing nationwide. It's not decreasing. So is that civility? Because that doesn't seem very civil to me, when we're allowing folks to, defecate and urinate in our public streets, which is going into our stormwater, into our storm drains, right? Again, it's all connected. And we don't want to provide public bathrooms, which would at least address that issue. But we can't do that, right? So we could do small things that are drops in the bucket,
right? Yeah,
that make a big impact, not only from a civility standpoint, from a humanity standpoint, but also that affect other areas like our water, right? So that's how I look at it that way. One of the things I suggested when I was running for mayor was, why don't you give the tax breaks to actual homeowners and renters so that they can house someone that is, struggling? Or you got two families that are like, what, we're about to go under, we're going to be homeless. Then, hey, you know what, you can move someone in and we'll give you the tax break. One of the other things that Denise Frey said, and I'll get off my box here, was she said, hey, the property in her district was just a big flat parking lot, and it wasn't gaining $2.3 million in taxes. And that's such a false thing to say when we're not talking about all of Bremerton with the $2.3 million. It wasn't just that one property, first off. And then second, there were other things that could have been done to say, hey, we're going to do 20% affordable, even at the HUD rate, right? Again, I'm going to keep saying it. You're building 5 units. 20% is 1. That doesn't do anything. So it would need to be flipped. You want to do 80%? affordable and then one the other way, fine. You're going to start to put a dent in it, right? And say, hey, well, you know what? We're just using the tools that are available to us now. We admit maybe it's not the best tool that we have at our disposal. However, this is a tool that we have. And so you just keep on kicking the can down the road. You don't want to deal with it until we're well beyond. I mean, we're already in a crisis.
Yeah,
but
we are.
How much worse does it have to get to where it's like, okay, now we have to do the hard thing that we should have just did before, when it wouldn't have been quite as disastrous as it will be in the future.
Well, and I think you made the point is, people come in there and they're angry and this quest, maybe they aren't civil because they're so angry because they're so tired of seeing, what is that definition of when you keep going back?
Insanity and doing the same thing. But I would say they're being civil. They're not calling them out of their name, right? No. They're saying that they're in the pockets of the developers,
right?
But that's the worst accusation that they're making, right? You can say that to me all day long. You're in the pocket of the developer, but you know what? I'm not sleeping outside tonight. You're in the pocket of the developer. You know what? I'm not urinating outside or being harassed by the police or being arrested in my vehicle because I'm unhoused. Oh, you're in the pocket of the developer. You just do whatever they want. But I'm not trying to figure out how I'm going to pay my rent and my lights are off, right? My neighbor right now is coming next door to get water because their water's turned off. They already use my internet. Now they're coming to get water, right? So if we're talking about civility, to me, that's just misplaced as a comment. And so we do need to actively recruit folks that are going to run for city council, that are going to be the voice for the people. And at the end of what she had to say was, hey, you know what? My district needs this, and my job is to do what's best for my district. And yes, her district, her neighborhood elected her to look out for her district, but you are still a part of the whole pie. So if you're going to be so selfish that it's like, damn the other 6, neighborhoods, then okay. I mean, you've kind of said it all.
Yeah, and I guess you made up a good point about, and I noticed when I came to the that feed that you had down at Smith Cove,
mm-hmm.
and I hung out for a while, and I really observed a lot. And it's like, okay, I met a lady, and I forget her name, very nice, who came down and was working around there, and she's running for a city council
mm-hmm.
position. How often do the other city council people, do they ever come to these things and help homeless and like engage with homeless people? Or,
I don't know about engagement, but I will say Anna Mockler did come to that event. So
okay, I didn't see her. So, but how many of those city council though are actively engaged in working towards like solutions about this issue?
Well, I mean, if you're looking at, what they speak when they do their, council reports, you hear things about what's going on Callow, Quincy Square, which is a big one. The mayor, is talking about Frisbees and doing some work there. So, I mean, you can hear what they're talking about, mm-hmm. but, really addressing it is, they've really, to me, put all the onus on, and I'm a quote unquote nonprofits and churches, which in the church situation, I'm a Christian. I don't hide from that at all. But most of the times, most of those folks are demonizing the churches, but then say, hey, well, you know what? The churches should be helping. Well, you know what? Most churches have been decimated through COVID trying to help. So if you've ever gotten help from a church pre-COVID where they had gas cards and could pay rent and do some of those things, and they can't do it now because they were crippled during COVID, right? And they haven't recovered. This is a small transient Navy town. So, especially with the Black church, there are smaller congregations and folks are coming and going. And so they don't have the resources to do that. And it's like, well, the churches and the nonprofits should do this and that. And it's like, well, the bigger ones, yeah, okay. The smaller ones, yeah, we're punching way above our belt. Well, and then all the grants to even do anything are all being cut. They've been reduced to almost nothing. Right.
So, even those nonprofits can't get grant money to keep doing their work.
Which again just shows you, how big, how vast the problem is. This is huge, and you have to have a multi-pronged attack, which is what I've been saying the entire time. Can't just do a little bit over here, and that this is what we're focused on. Like, you have to look at how all these things are interconnected and try to attack all these things at once, and understand as you push on this lever, it's going to impact 5 other levers on the other side.
Well, which means good planning.
Yeah.
And I think that it's too much is reactive rather than proactive.
Yeah.
And I think that when I did some of my strategic planning around hepatitis C, we actually developed a county strategic plan for it. And it was used as a model in other counties around the country, which I was really proud of having been a part of it. And it took, it started with a statewide strategic plan and task force that was pulled together. And I'm not sure why that is not being done effectively here, at least with all the stakeholders that are involved. And I think that's why I'm seeing, I came from, I'm not from California, but I lived down there for 20 years. But that was the one thing, at least where I lived, that they had it together, and they did plan that, they planned architectural, how things were going to look architecturally. So everything looked nice. It just was a much better planned community. And I think that I'm seeing poor planning, poor oversight. I don't know. I think it just scratches my head. To think about why, there seems like there should be more solutions that we can handle. There's solutions to these problems. So why can't we implement them?
Well, there's hard solutions to the problems.
Yes.
We have a revenue issue, not only in this city, but also nationwide, right?
And
many
our
of our,
state,
our big metropolitan cities have huge multi-million-dollar deficits. But we've spent millions and billions of dollars at the same time. It's how are we spending the money?
Yes.
How are we spending the money? If you are paying a bunch of staff, 6 and 7 figures to run programming, and it's not trickling down into the hands of folks, then that's an issue. I think we said this either last week or the previous week. Instead of, the housing authorities paying rent under Section 8, just pay the mortgage and let them own their property.
I think that whole rent to own is,
you're paying for it anyway. We're paying for it as taxpayers anyway. So let them own the home, right? And if they want to sell it, then they have to sell it at market rate back to HUD, and then it comes back to another family, right?
Yeah.
If they become so stabilized and they're good, go ahead, because we're paying for it anyway, right?
Right. Might as well plan it the right way.
Might as well plan it the other way.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what ends up happening is that particular homeowner, which is that one person, just continues to thrive, and they're able to buy multiple homes as they go on and build out their portfolio. But in this way, now you are sustaining families after families after families after families. And then you have that incentive for them to
want to work, to want to participate.
Well, but many of them do, right?
Yep,
so
do, yeah.
They're stabilized. They don't have to worry about it. Their kids aren't worried. I've got to save this one for later. But we've got 13 kids housed in the last 2 weeks, and school just started, right? So imagine starting school homeless. How stressful that is, right? It's already difficult for kids, especially with teasing and bullying and all the stuff that they're going through, adolescence, right? And now you're homeless on top of it. So they're stabilized. They're housed at the start of school, but they spent the summer homeless. So if HUD had been paying the mortgage and not the rent, one, that wouldn't have happened in both of these families' cases. They would have been stabilized the entire time, right? But we could stabilize a lot more families and children. Now you want to have programming centered around that where they're learning financial literacy and long-term planning. You know, when they teach financial literacy, a lot of times it's things like, no, you need to have a bank account, and you know, you need to, you know, have savings and this and that. But are you doing estate planning? Are you teaching them how to have tax shelters? The way that, you know, folks that have more money are able to do. You know, how can you defer your taxes and things like that, and help them and walk them through that so their money goes and stretches a lot longer. So there's lots of things that could be done. But that, to me, that's a big one, right?
It is.
We're going to spend the money. We have to spend the money. We have it. We can do it. You know, Trump wants to make you getting some benefits where you need to volunteer or work 20 hours a week. Okay, great. Then let's build houses with that. Habitat for Humanity on steroids, right? Yes, you're going to keep getting your food assistance. You're going to keep getting your TANF, whatever it is, and you can help to build homes for you, your neighbor, your family, your extended family. There are things that we can do. We're gonna have to do something. Or at some point, crime gets higher. We don't have enough police. We don't have enough fire. Now all of a sudden, non-emergencies have to be called in and fill out a form, right? Hospitals don't have primary care folks for, what'd you say,
one for every 2,000 people.
One for every 2,000 people. We remember when the ambulance were being used as triage at St. Michael's, right? That's what we end up facing. So we can continue to go down that road and watch this thing even more. And as we age, the less we can do, right? I can't get out there and be as vigorous and vibrant as I was with my physical body as I was 20 and 30 years ago, right? So now we're starting to depend on our youth, and they've inherited debt and strife and pain. So what are we going to do, folks? That's one to sit with.
It is. I know. When I was at that city council and I had to go behind everybody who talked about, you know, the children, the women and children out on the street and stuff, it just really, to think that that's happening in our area, it just saddens me that we're treating people this way. I mean, it wasn't how I was brought up to look the other way.
Well, you know what? We also have to look at, you know, from a sociological standpoint, just where we're at in America now. You know, we're so much of an individualistic society now. It used to be, you know, your parents retired and they moved in the home with you. And now, I mean, we're seeing elderly out in the street, right? In numbers. We're seeing really young folks out in the street. Babies really that haven't even had a chance to start life. And so you might have multi-generations in one household, and that's what you did. That's how it was. And now that has eroded. We don't live that way really anymore.
I know, and I wonder what happened. You know, you try to look back, and when you get older like us, my son tells me, "You're old, Mom." It's like, oh, I guess I am old now. But I don't think old, and you think of your life experience at this point, and it's like, what happened? You know, why? How did things fall apart? You know, I think I was brought up in the Midwest, so you know there was a bigger sense of community there. At least how I grew up,
right?
Is you all helped each other, you cared about each other. You didn't, you know. It just was part of the way of life, I think.
And not to say that it didn't happen, right? I was born in 1973 and went into foster care immediately. So it's not that it was devoid of that back in the day. It just, we were coming to the end of, I think, more of a kind of a traditional family, of you taking care of your family, and that family unit is there. And that just doesn't really exist now.
That's true.
However,
that's true.
It is starting to come back in some ways. If you were watching the news through COVID, right, a lot of kids were having to move back home, young adults, and then other children that were turning 18, whether they graduated from high school or not, couldn't launch. So it wasn't even a failure to launch. They couldn't launch into anything, right? And it wouldn't make sense to have them launch into just severe debt. So it's like, no, you're going to stay home and continue to live here until you can get your feet up underneath you, because there's nothing out there for you. So it seems to be being forced on folks kind of right now. But I would like it to be a choice, because ultimately when things, even out, then we'll just go back to that individualistic kind of living, and hey, you're on your own, you figure it out. So
yeah, I know. I had one of those sons who finally launched, I think.
Yeah, it might be a boomerang, right?
But it
might launch and come back.
I kind of miss them though, because with our bodies kind of falling apart on us, it's like I noticed some things around my yard. It's like, oh, do I have to do that? It's like my body can only handle so much anymore, and it's like I need that young guy around to kind of do some of the harder work for me.
Well, and that's it. So what happens? Are you independently wealthy where you can pay for someone to take care of you in your home, or can you pay to go into hospice and live it up in one of these ritzy places for seniors? No. And that's one of our big issues, right? And we have a huge aging population here in Kitsap County, let alone the boomers and the Gen Xers that are coming. We're really going to hit Social Security, right? I mean, they're saying, I don't even think I'll be able to collect it. I'm 52.
Oh, yeah. And then when I was doing my research on the primary care doctors, what was the state of primary care in the United States, and they're talking about how there's this extreme shortage of geriatricians, which is doctors that care for elderly people. And it's like there's just isn't enough doctors. And it's like, I'm thinking to myself, well, do I need to move somewhere else? Or,
hey,
I have to think about these things.
You have to think about
how
these
am I
things.
going to age?
Yeah.
Now, and I'm almost 70, and it's like, oh, I'm kind of going over the hill here. And
well, you look really good for almost 70. Go ahead. We won't ask you how old you are.
I'm getting close.
Wow. Well, that's impressive.
And it's hard to think that, but I am thinking about, we got to think about these things as we age, and about where do we live, or do we have the services that we need here? Do we have the medical services? Is our water clean? Can we drink it?
Yeah, thank you for circling back to that, because as we wrap, that's really it. The things that we're lamenting on right now that has an impact, right? We have to one, elect and then hold their feet to the fire our council people, our commissioners, our senators, whoever we elect.
Whoever our elected officials are.
We have to make sure that they are advocating for our needs across the board, right? It's important. It's critical. And you may not have connected the dots before, but now all of a sudden you're seeing it, right? You're seeing it. And so we're talking about these things, but this all goes back to, Kathie is pushing 70, and she got off the ferry and she was exhausted and made it down to city council. And you may not be able to do that, but someone in your circle can. You can write a letter or an email. Multiple of you can sign it and send it in to city council or to the commissioners. And
you can attend via Zoom and put in comments that way.
You can attend via Zoom. Just make sure that you send your request to talk 24 hours before, which I keep failing to do.
I didn't know that. I was wondering about how that had changed.
Yep. There was some anti-Semitic stuff said.
I was there when that happened, and it was not good.
And I think they should, again, you can cut that person off if they're saying something that is that blatantly disgusting, and then go forward. You're not cutting off any free speech or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. That was not handled well.
So to me, it was a way to try to limit folks, and the time of hearing for the community and saying, hey, you can write it in, it goes to the record. Yeah, that's all well and good. It does. But then we know that some people, just from what we see, aren't reading their emails. Well, and it's so thick and so vast, everything that goes into that council packet, right? I mean, these folks aren't making a whole bunch of money, and this
No.
is a part-time thing for them. So they can't possibly cover all this stuff and do the due diligence that is needed for each and every issue that's out there. So coming and speaking in person does feel like it has a bigger impact because, people, the community is seeing it at large.
Well, it is, and that's why I encourage people to come in person. I just think it as much as I have to like go to county commissioners, and go through Gorse Curve at 5:00.
Yep.
To get down there, it does make a difference to show up in person. And after attending all these meetings at various places for a couple of years, I mean, we need more public participation.
And if you think it doesn't work, just look at the bike lanes, right? They're cutting 6th Street to a 1-lane street, one way each way, right? Although they're saying we're supposed to double by 2035, but you're creating 1-lane roads, which are main arterials. I don't understand the rationale.
The rationale behind it. Yeah,
I get you want to keep Bremerton, and you want it to be safe for kids and whatnot. I live on 13th, so I'm 7 blocks from 6th. So it's not like I'm not there, right? It does impact me. I don't live on it, or I'm 1 block away, but I am 7 blocks away from it. It's a street that I use.
I do too.
To me, it doesn't make sense if you have all this projected growth and you're cutting down transport, and then you're saying, well, you know what, they can use public transportation and it's multimodal and they can ride their bikes and they can do these things and whatnot. Again, aging population, not all going to be able to ride their bike. If I can ride my bike, I would be quite healthy if I could do that. It rains a lot, so that's not necessarily conducive.
Right.
And when you're going grocery shopping and doing other things, that's also not conducive. And our buses don't run in a way where that's conducive. And you know what? I can't carry $200 and $300 worth of groceries, and I can't afford to go shopping every single day and just shop by day because 1, it's more expensive, but 2, there's time that is associated with that. So to me, there's a lot of tone deafness in how they're moving, but at the same time saying, hey, we're building for the future. It's like, how? Well, not for all this influx of people coming.
Well, I kind of bring it back to, at least with city council and Enetai, is you have an overwhelmingly the community turned down annexation to city of Bremerton. Nobody wants to be annexed into the city of Bremerton. We don't want sewers. We don't want condos in Enetai. We don't want you to destroy Enetai Creek or the shoreline down there. It's like, what part of that do you not get?
Yeah.
It's like, it's like the will of the people are being overridden. It's like, who's pulling the strings? Who's controlling all this? That no matter all these problems that are in front of us, why are our elected officials not acting? And I shouldn't say that they all are. I mean, I know they do some good things, but there's just a disconnect there, I think, with the public. That's at least what I'm seeing, like in just that one issue in Enetai, what I've been dealing with.
Well, and I think you have created our stopping point for today.
Okay.
We did go over a little bit, but our conversation, when we started this was supposed to be 30 minutes, right?
Right.
So we're about 40 minutes over the 30 minutes.
Oh, are we really? Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, when we started, we were going to go from 4 to 4:30.
Right.
And it's 5:10. But
oh my God.
But it's so much, right? There's so much to talk about, and I really love the hot topic of the week, and it's something new, and it's always related. Right?
It is, and I like. It's like, okay, what? It's like every week new stuff keeps coming up, and I'm like, and this one was like a shocker to me. It's like, oh my God, it's worse than I even thought I envisioned it to be.
Worse than you ever thought it could be.
Yeah.
So again, let me close the way that we started. Save Enetai, folks. You can go to the website again. You can get everything, all the links that Kathie provides from every show that's been done, but far before we even met and Save Enetai was doing their work. It's all here. It's all updated This is how you can stay caught up and stay current. You can still sign the petition. It's at the right. If you just scroll down, please donate.
Yes, please donate.
They're doing great work. And again, that work is also there for your benefit, for your neighborhood as well. And we need some wins. So help us to get some wins here. We appreciate you tuning in and watching. Give a like, subscribe, and share it out to other folks so they can know, right? You probably have some other elderly folks or aging folks, if you're not one of those yourself, that have concerns, and water concerns them. You're middle age, it concerns you. If you're youth, it concerns you. It definitely concerns your kiddos. It concerns your pets. So water has kind of been the where we've been focused on the last few weeks. But you can see it kind of spans and it affects all different avenues of our life. So we will definitely be back next Friday. Kathie, do you know what we're talking about next Friday? Or is it something that you're going to be preparing
I guess
on?
we'll have to see what comes up.
All right. I like it. I like it. That's right. Because that's the thing, is topic of the week. So again, that same Enetai. As always, I just want to thank you again for your steadfast work. You know, Kathie, you always show up and show out, and I appreciate that.
And then don't forget our Illahee-Enetai community.org. I'm been trying to get to it well, I was supposed to get it done in August, but this month is to create the questionnaire for the amendment to the Illahee community plan.
Okay.
And it's going to go out to, well, depending on how much money we have, we'll see what boundaries are going to get this questionnaire, but they're going to get it in the mail. So those residents, the ones that are going to be impacted by a potential rezone to downzone parts of our Enetai, to protect it a little bit more from high density housing like Illahee did. They're going to get a questionnaire, and it's going to ask, we need to develop it a little bit more and to get the voice of the people. So that's my next focus. So we at some point we might have to take a break now and then, because somehow I'm not getting to all my work that I need to get done.
Well, then Kathie needs some volunteers as well.
Yes, I need help.
So that's a big one. Let that be part of our focal point on how people can get involved and help and try to get people activated. That's really the big one. Going into the fall, you know, the weather's turning, you're looking for something to do. This is a great thing to get involved with.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll focus a little bit on that next week.
Okay.
All right, everyone. For Kathie, for Enetai, Save Enetai, I am R1 Cameron. This is The Conduit. We'll see you next time. Take care of each other. And in 16 minutes, we have Charlando con Martita right here on The Conduit. So get you a snack and come on back. We'll see you in 15 minutes.